Welcome, everyone, to the SnapCast podcast with your hosts, Brad O'Brien.
Yo.
And Mike Cooley. How are you guys doing today? This is episode 67 of this beautiful SnapCast. And it's been a couple weeks, man. We got some cool stuff to talk about. I feel like this is going to be the Magic potpourri this week. We're going to talk about these Strixhaven cards, what they might be doing out there. It's still early, but you can play some of these on Arena. This is going to change things, man.
Yeah.
Almost certain.
People are blowing wild cards like mad on these stupid rare commons. I'm looking at you, Faithless Looting. But if it makes Arclight Phoenix playable again, I'm in. And there's a whole bunch of cool reprints in the Commander decks.
Yeah.
We have some recent event results.
We got to check all this stuff out, man. For the purposes of Magic entertainment and of all things Magic related. So, if this is your first time joining this podcast, and you're like, what the hell did I just dial into? Who the hell are these goons? And why should I listen to them? Well, let me tell you. We are a Magic the Gathering SnapCast podcast. Where we talk about Magic and Magic-related things. The card game, the TCG. We are geared towards the competitive finance Magic player. So if that is something that you're into, that's what we do.
Yeah, anybody that has watched me on the few times that I've tried to stream Arena, you know that I'm not a competitive player.
You're talking to a guy that, Jesus, one of my first decks was... What I was telling you about Magistrate, Scepter, Core Tapper combo, BS. Oh, man. Competitive. I don't think it's ever been in my blood, but creativity, though, that is something that we have in this Magic game, man. I mean, with specs, with, specs and decks. We're just creative with
Well, when you've got a deck like mine, you have to be creative. You work with what the good Lord gave you.
You got to do it, man. You got to do it.
You had a cool weekend.
Dude, this has been a crazy week, man. Just full of emotional ups and ups. Like, it's been crazy.
So, for Chapman and Chapman Productions, we apologize that there was not an episode of the Snapcast last week. He was very, very upset.
Oh,
lots of comments. But, I put out a little teaser to let people know we wouldn't be streaming last week. One, the brain, the master computer, had been down for a couple of weeks. And two, you had a very exciting offer presented to you last week.
It was crazy, man. So for those of you guys who don't know, I do have a YouTube channel and a separate Twitch channel where I just stream and do Diablo content. And, it's getting more views, it's getting more views.
More views than this, or just more views? More views. It's doing quite well.
It's getting more views. We're getting up there. But Blizzard Entertainment reached out to me and wanted me to test their alpha. Their alpha of Diablo 2 Resurrected, which is a game that is coming out this year, and they wanted some, diehard, full-blooded Diablo fans, especially Diablo 2 fans, to test this out, and I was so honored and blessed to be one of the people that they asked. I was super happy about that. So I had early access to it. They asked like 20,000 people essentially, but they asked a smaller subset of people to have early access to it, the streamers and such. And I was one of those people, and that made me feel super cool. I was like, wow, man, I do not deserve this honor. I don't know if you know who you've reached out to.
I think those of us that have known you a while have always known you're one of those people.
That's fair. That is fair.
Jason Clark says, hey, long time no see, gents, in the chat.
I know it. Hey, man, welcome. Thanks for joining us. It's been 2 weeks now since we streamed, as you said, and I've missed this. I feel like it was the weekly therapy session, and I feel like after the week I've had, I should have had that weekly therapy session last week, because I feel like it's always good. It feels so good to chill with my buddy here and talk Magic with you guys. It's so cool. It just feels so good.
Yeah, today is not going to be a high pressure show.
It's going
to be a conversation about all things fun and interesting Magic.
Absolutely, man. And we got some cool things to look at for sure.
I was super excited. I did it might have been last Thursday night while you were first doing the alpha stream. I had a couple of guys over here. We were playing a few games of Commander downstairs in what is the former studio, which is now the game room, and had you on the TV at the end of the table all night. It was like you were there with us.
That was so cool, man. Brad is such a good human being, and I'm so blessed to have him as a friend, man. Like, if nobody else in the world cared, Brad's caring would have been enough to make all of that worth it, man. He messaged me, congratulated me. He made the stream telling everybody on here and dialed in while everybody was playing Magic. I wanted to be a part. I wish I could have been in both places. Like, that's so cool, man. I want you to know that's some heartfelt stuff. It meant a lot to me.
Well, and so here's a funny thing about Cooley, and since we're going to sit here and compliment each other, for those that are watching on YouTube, you'll get my message. But Cooley does not lack in the confidence department. But he also didn't tell any of our friends on Facebook or on the interwebs that he was streaming this alpha, even though we obviously have a very large collection of shared gamer friends. We're part of gamer communities on Facebook, and he didn't brag about it. So I had to brag for him.
It's really weird, man. Like, to be completely honest about the whole Diablo life of mine, I guess, if you could call it that, I never really intended for it to be anything that I would ever share on Facebook. You know what I mean? It's like I started doing it because I was like, well, I like playing this game, and hey, let's give streaming it a shot. And it was like one of those... It's almost like you guys might feel the first time you tell a girlfriend or something that, like, you play Magic the Gathering. You know what I mean? Like, it's...
You're wondering, crossing your fingers, I hope this isn't a deal breaker.
We know that it is cool as shit. Like, and it's so many people do it. It's super popular. It's an awesome game. And it has a sick following. But you're just like, please don't judge me for this. You know, it's one of those things. And I'm like, so I kept it like separate. I was like, I don't know if I want any of my IRL people knowing I do this. I was like, I'm just going to keep it what it is. But before long, man, like I had like IRL friends, some that I knew in Georgia, some that I like went to high school with and stuff. And they were messaging me. They were like, dude, I love your channel. And I'm like, oh, wow. Like, you know, it's out there.
How'd you find me?
Yeah, I was like, it's out there now.
Well, and I do appreciate that you shared your recent milestone on Facebook.
Thanks, man. Thanks. We just I just reached over 1 million views on that channel total. And that was I feel like one of the lessons I learned in life is it's okay. Like you gotta experience the happiness spectrum is what it is. That's the lesson, right? Like
That's
when you're
good.
when you're
that.
upset about something, you need to feel it and be upset about it. Cry if you have to, but feel it. And It's the same thing with the other end of it. When super good things happen, you got to celebrate them. You got to learn how to, like, you know, to share the news that you actually feel good about and not hide it and not be like, hey, I didn't want people to know about this. It's like, I just reached over 1 million views on doing something that I actually like. You know what I mean? Like that's what
awesome.
What else should I be sharing in this life?
Exactly.
And it's like, I don't care what people think of it. It's just like, hey, this is what I do. I don't care what you know me for on Facebook. I know so many people. It's like,
well, and
that's what I do now.
The attaining the views is a validation unto itself that obviously there's enough people that value the content that it has some value. And yes, I one thing I will say is I really like that you said you framed it in a positive way where you said the happiness range. You know, that full range of happiness, which can go all the way down to tears. But that's just a range of happiness. You're on the wrong end.
Exactly.
But it's still on that.
It's a very good point. It's the same spectrum. Happiness and sadness are the same spectrum. It's that same line of emotion. It's just, you know, it's just different levels.
Most of us do sort of cut out the ends.
Yeah.
It's like we want the bell curve. We want that 66% in the middle, and that's all we ever tell anybody is, yes, I woke up this morning, I went to bed this morning, I did my groceries this morning. But nobody wants to hear about my bleeding hernia or, you know, that I won the lottery because fuck that guy, he won the lottery. But yeah, people hide their highs sometimes as much as their lows, and so I'm glad you shared that.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Jason says, that's deep, and he's adopting that. Telling you, dude, it was actually a wise dude that I used to work with, and he was older dude, and he would always, like, I think he saw me for what I really was, and that was some, like, often wrong, never unsure of himself dude. Mm-hmm. So he'd always share these, like, podcasts with me or these videos with me. He would literally, this is the type of dude he was. He was older. He would burn them on a CD. And he'd be like, you listen to this in your car on the way back.
Yeah.
And one of them was that. It was this whole talk about this. I'm not sure if it was a TED talk or something, but he put it on a CD. And this guy was just talking for an hour about the happiness spectrum and how sadness and happiness are the same thing, but just different levels of it. And I'm like, that's cool, man. It was a lesson I took with me for the rest of my life. So happy I met that guy in my life and I've worked with him and, and still acquainted with him.
I wish I could take that same theory into a Magic tournament. Like when you actually listen to a podcast about tournament grinders, they talk about tilt and how tilt will throw off the rest of your tournament, that sort of thing. And all of the skills and things that people do, like after a bad loss, you lose to that friggin' top deck and you just want to punch that dude in the face or you want to slam the table. And it's like, this is a game. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, sometimes the person draws the top deck. How do you balance out that?
Oh yeah.
That like you said, when you care about something, you're going to feel it.
Oh yeah.
And it's going to be on the happiness spectrum. You either won the game or you didn't.
Oh, for sure. I think there's actually a lot of value in losing. I shit you not. I almost wrote a book on this, but then I remembered I hate books. I hate writing and I also hate reading. So I'm like, this doesn't seem like a good thing to do.
So what you're saying is you need a ghostwriter.
Right. But it was like one of those lessons you learn. You're growing up and you're like, you know what, man, this has changed my life. And it was like, losing is okay. Like, it's okay to lose. You know what I mean? It's not bad to lose. And in fact, sometimes there's more value in losing. Losing a Magic game. Losing a stupid tabletop game that you're playing with your grandmother, who you're clearly going to crush her, but you purposely lose it because there's more value in doing that and and seeing your grandmother win a game and be happy about
Experience that spectrum of happiness.
It makes you happier to see her happy. And I'm like, that was the moment for me. I was like, I'm going to absolutely crush my grandmother in Rummy Cube. Like, and it was literally to the point where I'm just like, I have everything laid out on my tiles. I'm like, this game is over. But I'm like,
bitch just don't know it.
Yeah, but I was like, here she is taking her time and playing this game with her grandson, and I was like, I don't know, I got no moves, Graham. I was like, what do you got? Like, you've got to have something. Let me help you. Oh, you got this right here. Try this out. That's gonna spark something for you. And she lays them all out and just wins it. She's like, oh my gosh, I won. And I was like, wow, I feel so much better about that.
You actually enjoyed the time with another human being.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's why we're here now.
Absolutely,
because
man.
When we actually play Magic, I get salty as a mother and like cuss Cooley out. Anybody that's. Although I will say, and I don't want to take too much credit for this, but I have been inviting you to a lot of Commander games, and over the past couple of months, I feel like you've gotten more political and less competitive. Like, it's okay to lose. And it's okay to let the game go a few turns. And I think everybody's been a little less salty with Cooley.
Jason Clark says, you should do that at EDH tonight, too.
See?
See, nailed it. Yeah. It's,
great minds think alike.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man.
You should so Jason's your grandma. You should let him win at Rummy.
Yeah, right? Jesus. Dude, yeah. So, but also, I mean, even if you're trying to win, right, and you lose sometimes at like a Magic game, you never learn. Mark my words. If you guys are competitive Magic players, right, I've seen this all over, right?
You don't learn from winning.
You do not learn from your wins. You never learn. You could make all the mistakes in the world in your win, and you'd be like, most people just think, oh, okay, but I just played so well that it didn't matter. You're not taking those mistakes in. And you're not being like, okay, that legit could have cost me the game. And like, you're not getting upset about it because this spectrum of happiness, right, that we talked about, you won the game. You advanced in the tournament. You got something out of that win, and you didn't learn anything from it. you're being reinforced for bad decisions. And eventually it comes around to bite you in the ass. And that's when you really feel it. That's the people, if you don't learn to lose, if you don't learn from your losses, that's where it really bites you in the ass. You really get that like super upset when you lose, because you've been rewarded. You think you're really good. You think there's no way I can even mess up and win. And it's just not the case, man. And sometimes you can not even make a damn mistake and still lose. It's just how it is.
I don't know why I will never remember the name of the card, Violent Outburst, but I know that for the rest of my ever-loving life, I will never try and counter a violent outburst. And that is because at top 8 of states in 2017, I was playing against a Living End deck, and I had no idea what was going on. And I was playing Bant Eldrazi and had a Stubborn Denial in my hand and a Thought Not Seer on the board. And I just knew I had this game locked up. And he's like, Violent Outburst. And I'm like, Stubborn Denial. Gotcha. And he's like, okay, Cascade into Living End and bring all my stuff back. Oh.
It's so funny because my best buddy, one of my best buddy, Mike, he did the exact same thing in a high-level Legacy tournament with someone's Shardless Agent. Like, they cast Shardless Agent, and he had a Daze, and he thought he was so cool. And, like, it just so happened. Usually in Legacy, when someone's Shardless Agents, you know, maybe you're playing against Bug, and you get, like, Tarmogoyfed, and you're like, oh, shit. And it's still, I mean, it feels bad, but it doesn't feel real bad. He pulled a U. This was, I don't know, 2013, 2012, something like that. He got Hypergenesis off of a Shardless Agent. Some guy running some dumbass rogue deck that he should have never lost to with Force of Wills and Dazes. And he's running Reanimator. So, like, and he still lost. Like, I was like, wow, man, there's no realm in which you should have lost that game. But he tilted himself, just like you're talking about. He tilted himself, dude.
Oh, yeah. And I certainly could not recover from that. But I will never forget it. And so that idea of learning from mistakes.
Yeah.
You just reminded me of something else.
Oh, man.
So when does Leif Erikson message me on Facebook at like 7 o'clock in the morning?
I can tell you it probably has something to do with a human.
There are some potential leaks that people are talking about, cards that are going to be printed in Modern Horizons 2. Including Shardless Agent and Sanctum Prelate.
Into Modern.
So these are the rumors. And apparently, you know, like he told me about it. And then the next day I saw somebody on Twitter talking about it. And the next day I saw a YouTuber making a whole video about all of these cards that are expected to be in Modern Horizons 2 that were leaked or given out by somebody that's supposedly been successful with their predictions in the past. Somebody that may have inside information.
Wow. Shardless Agent will be in Modern?
Modern, yeah.
Oh, my God. Okay, now we've got a pop quiz question for the viewers, all right? Because of all of the stuff we just talked about, something popped into my head. Let's see how many rules people we have out there, right? Shardless Agent is now in Modern. Shardless Agents into Living End, you counter the Shardless Agent like a dumbass. When Living End goes off, where is Shardless Agent? Think about that. We'll come back to it in a moment.
So, you know what we'll do, because we ain't brought up the computer in a while. I'm on Reddit right now, and there's likely Modern Horizons 2 leaks. Take them with a grain of salt, as with all such leaks, but this guy has a history of being right on the money or extremely close with predictions. He leaked to Fairy Master of Time and the Triomes a month before they were released. And then we go over to this Reddit doc and this thing, and you're going down the rabbit hole. And, of course, now I can't find the actual thing. Well, I wasted all of our time. But it must be what you've come to expect at this point.
Hey, I mean, anyway, we just got the old. This is something we should say too, because we just got the old Bertha back. What's her name? The old computer. We got.
Yeah, I don't know. We should
name her.
We should name her, give her some slack, some credit. She's the third member of the Snapcast.
Yeah, she really is.
Sorry, Andy.
We'll think. What do you guys think? Name Brad's old computer, and don't tell us Old Faithful. It's just too simple. Let us know. Yeah. So no problem. If you have these technical difficulties bouncing back and forth, that's to be expected, dude. Don't worry about it.
But that he was very excited and very confident. Like he told me, he's like, you should go get your judge foils. Judge foils are now non-existent.
Of Shardless Agent?
Of Shardless Agent, yeah.
Wow, dude.
And then there's a bunch of people on Facebook Humans group saying, so what are you going to do? You're going to get 2 tutus?
I honestly, I mean, how do you feel about Shardless Agent in Humans?
I don't care.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like, isn't that the absolute worst thing to have in your hand when you have a vial? Like,
because you have to cast it.
Yeah, because it's just like, you know what I mean? You got your vial you're ticking up, and it's like your payoff is Shardless Agent. It almost doesn't seem good. I mean, I'm no Humans player, but I would, honestly. And then with all the Blood Moon bullshit, with all of the, the land destruction, you don't run basic forests, do you?
No.
No, like there's no way you're casting it sometimes. And if Vial is your only shot, which it is, sometimes it is in a lot of these matchups, I feel like a 3-drop Shardless Agent to Vial in has got to feel bad.
Yeah. No.
Is that thing a human too? Like, or is it just one of those non-humans that human players think it is? Okay. Yeah. I know you human players sometimes like to throw those non-humans in the deck because they're so good, but
is it a human rogue maybe?
Yeah, I was gonna say if it's not a human, definitely it's out. But yeah, so we're bringing it up right now. Let's flash over to it. Yeah, human rogue. Wow,
look at that! I nailed it. But just being a 2/2 for 3 that maybe gets you, because you can only cascade into less. So what are you gonna get? A meddling mage, Athalia's lieutenant, Athalia?
Yeah,
like
just weird.
I'm not a buyer on it. Now,
nope.
What do you think about Sanctum Prelate, though?
That's got to be in there, right? Like, you got to have Sanctum Prelate in there. Because Death and Taxes decks in Legacy use that. Yeah. I feel like that is such a taxing card that you can't not have it in Humans.
I mean, if it's legal, I think this gets play way over Charlotte.
You just call 1 when it comes out. And what the hell are you... Or you're playing against Jund, you call 2. What the hell are you going to do?
Yeah.
Like, you are so boned. You got Meddling Mage out, bam, you call Bolt. And then it's just like, okay, so now I can't do that. Oh, great. And then I'm going to violin, Prelate. And as soon as it comes in, you can't do anything. Like, it's just like... The disruption is just like Meddling Mage.
Just like what Humans really needs to be.
It's exactly what it wants to be. Now you got 12 Meddling Mages in there. How does that feel, dude?
That I'm into. And speaking of which, I'm also into this card, and this is...
Yeah, this is the other one I was sort of alluding to here with 12 Meddling Mages.
Yeah, Silver Quill Silencer. I think that this might make an Esper Humans or like a Esper mid-range deck really sweet, where you play this guy, like say you could Vial this guy. You have 2 mana. You play Vial on 1. Turn 2, you play your second land, or you play Kitesail Freebooter. Turn 3, you play your third land. Your Vial's on 2. You Vial this guy in. You name something like Bolt. Okay. They're like, okay, well, I need to kill it, so they're going to bolt it. And then you cast Remand on their bolt. They lose 3 life, you draw a card, and then you draw a card for Remand.
Oh my god, that seems some fantasy magic stuff that I absolutely love.
It is kind of fantasy magic, but...
I love that.
I think there has to be something to this where you're going to punish them for a card that they need to draw for their deck to function.
Yep.
And then you counter that when they cast it.
Yeah.
Like, because this lets them cast it.
Yeah.
This is not like Meddling Mage where they just can't do it.
Right.
Right? So they're like, okay, I'm gonna take the bolt to the face. I'm gonna let you draw a card, but I need to cast Scape Shift. Like I need to cast this Scape Shift if I'm gonna have any shot at winning the game.
Right.
I need to cast this Niv Mizzet 5/5 whatever it is, the Wooburg.
Bring to light. Yeah. Absolutely. So this is why I really like on second inspecting of Silver Quill Silencer. This is why I really like it, because the ability it forces humans, and this is something you got to think about with shit like Shardless Agent and throwing that in there. It forces humans to do what humans does and not get too far away from it. It forces humans to say, I'm going to disrupt you a little bit because I think I can win the race if I do.
Well, it's a 3/2.
Exactly. It's a 3/2 on top of that for 2 mana.
Yeah.
So if you hold off on casting that, maybe you cast another removal spell for this, right? But if you don't do it in time, you're going to get cracked for 3. Like it's almost a high profile target at this point.
Yeah.
Even if they can get rid of it with another card, it's like high profile target. You know what I mean? So it keeps that tempo and it keeps that pressure in humans that your opponent does not want to see.
Yeah.
Like I do not want you. Like I want to be able to slow your humans deck down and stop your critical pieces. But if you have this other annoying piece in there that's just like, damn it. I don't want to waste a bolt on this guy. Especially if it's going to cost me 3 life and he's going to get a card out of it. But even if you called Path and I'm like, damn it, I still don't want to waste a bolt on this guy because I feel like I want to deal with him in a different way. But if you wait too long, you can't. Like, that's the thing. That's what humans is to me as the player across the table.
Yeah.
It's like, it's that deck that you want to get under. Like, you don't want to start responding to it and be like, oh, let me play your game. It's going to beat you every time. Like, you put a good humans pilot behind it like yourself, it's going to beat you all the time.
Oh.
Like, you want to get under
me blush. I don't even remember well, I guess I can't say that. I don't even remember what a Mantis Rider looks like. Is it the bug or is it the monk? I don't remember.
I think it's both.
It's a monk on a bug.
It's a monk on a bug.
Yeah.
I took that too literally.
So, speaking of monks on bugs, last night, playing another game of EDH with Chan, and he was playing his red-white equipment deck, which is vastly different than mine. But he's playing Prowess Monk, the white one, 2 and a white.
The Monastery Mentor.
Monastery Mentor. And is like, Monastery Mentor, Mox Opal, make a token, Prowess, tap for a color, play a sword, like
what?
Make another monk.
God damn.
I was floored. His deck was so cool.
Wow.
And just seeing Monastery Mentor in a deck that wasn't full of instants and sorceries, really. Like, it was artifacts and equipment. And he had 8 monks and they were swinging for 3 apiece.
God, that's so nuts.
In Commander. That was a lot of fun.
That is cool. That is really cool, man. Monastery Mentor is one of those cards that, like, if they ever reprint that again and it goes back down to $10, I feel like it's one of those ones you want to get. I was lucky. I bought a playset of those because I figured once they banned Mox Opal, I was like, I have to branch out. Let me buy a bunch of cards. And that was one of them that I thought was a very powerful card that a lot of people weren't prepared for in the format at the time.
Yeah.
And it was only $10. It was like $9.99. So I could get a playset for under $40. And I was like, I feel like this is good. I don't like spending $10 on a card that isn't used much, but I feel like the power level of this card is insane. It's over the top. And, I don't regret it now. They're probably at one point I checked and they were $40 each. And I was like, all right, that's pretty good. Good investment. I think we talked about it on the cast at one point, way back when, though.
So one of the things that I realized in his deck is that everything is an absolute must deal with threat.
Wow.
And my deck was a little bit more, a little value here, a little value there, try and go wide maybe. And we were talking about it and he was just like, his play group is absolutely vicious.
Yeah.
Like, You can be playing against turn 3 combos in EDH all the time. And so he's got Armageddons and what's the sword that's the World Destroyer?
World Slayer.
World Slayer.
Yep.
Like he put World Slayer on a double striker, and then before damage, exiled his whole board or he hit trigger for World Slayer, exiled all of his stuff. All of our stuff gets blown up. His stuff comes back into turn.
Wow.
He won that game.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a tough one to lose.
Monastery. Not Monster. Monastery.
Mentor. Yeah, we checking this out right here. Fate Reforged, $20. So it's gone down in price. It must have caught a reprint or something, but still, double what it was when I got them. I still feel pretty good about it. Yeah, look at that. It was up at. We're looking at the graph. The foil versions were like $80 at one point. Yeah, this must have caught a reprint because you can see the foils. They're kind of approaching the price of the regular one. Yeah, look at that. Look at the price of that, dude.
Right, but now if you look at this is a cool graph. This is where you see the foil has come down because there's another foil available, but you start to see the regular creeping back up again. Like it peaked, it tanked. It must have been popular again for a minute. The foil peaked.
Is this the only printing of it?
There's also a judge printing.
Okay, that's not bad art, honestly. I like the other one better, though.
I like the other one better.
Yeah, I take it back. That's actually terrible art.
Sucks.
I don't
Doing
know.
a Waldorf over here.
Yeah.
Hey, I have some trivia for you. This is totally not. Well, I'm glad that thing isn't working right. That makes me happy. If I told you that of the 12 most valuable buy a box promos that WotC had ever put out of the top 12, 7 are all from one set. Do you have any guesses as to what set that would be? And please, if you're in the chat, if you have a guess. So we're talking about buy a box promos. They've done them forever.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you, there's Birds of Paradise is way up there, but it's not the most. So I've told you 1 out of 12. 7 of those other 11 cards are all from the same set.
So we're not talking like Nexus of Fate, like that's
Nexus of Fate is in the top 12.
It is, yeah, but that was never in a set. That was only a box topper in and of itself. It was never in anything, right?
Right. So that's what all of these are. They came in one of those little box topper foil things. So if you start to really sleuth, if you start to do some digging, there were a couple of sets that had a slew of them. So it makes sense, right, that it would be one of those sets.
Uh-huh.
You're looking at me now like
know.
I'm going to give it to you. You don't know?
You got to give it to me, dude. Let me take a guess because I don't even know what set had a slew of them. I never buy boxes for the box toppers. It's too much of a gamble. But I'm going to say the one with the fairies, the fairy set. This is what I've been reduced to. I've been seeing so many goddamn Magic sets in my life. I don't remember the names anymore.
So do you mean the fairy set from like a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
That Throne of Eldraine?
Yes, that's what it is. Throne of Eldraine.
No.
All right, what is it?
Ixalan.
What was in that one for box toppers?
So all of the flip enchantments and all of the flip artifacts were available as a buy a box promo in a random little foil wrapper. So you could have a search for Azcanta box promo, and on the back specifically those, because some people, I think the, I want to say it was MTG Fast Finance. Those guys coined the term mapster pieces because the back of the card is actually a map, and you can put them all together and make a map of Ixalan, like a treasure map.
Oh shit!
And I'm still salty. The game day playmat for that was that map. And I lost it to Nick Blanchard on Breakers.
Oh, my God.
We had the same record.
That sucks.
Anyway, I'm still
Nick,
salty.
if you're listening, you gotta bring some pepper over to go with Brad's salt. It's bad.
But, so, what? I don't even remember what got me on it. I was looking at a box. Oh, I know what got me on it. I still think that Ikoria sealed boxes are a good investment. And I might be going in to as far as to say that so is Throne of Eldraine and so is Core Set 2021 sealed boxes. So
now,
hear me out.
Is this just because of the box toppers? Or, I mean, it's obviously not just because of that. There's some nasty stuff.
So with Ikoria, there's all of the triomes, which you're seeing play in every format.
Yep.
There are the Godzilla box toppers.
Ooh, yes.
Which are highly collectible.
Yeah.
Jason messaged me last week, said, hey, dude, what do you think about this card? This card's up to $300 right now for one of those Godzilla collectibles.
Jesus Christ.
It's like, can this actually hold this? Well, the thing is, they're never going to reprint that card again.
Yeah.
So somebody that actually collects it or cares about it will pay $500 for that in 6 months.
God, that's so nuts.
That's my opinion.
It's so crazy to think about that. I mean, you're right. You never know with Wizards. You never know what they're going to reprint. But
and the thing
it's
is
hard for them to.
Yeah. Like they had to have a licensing deal that was for that set.
Yeah.
So here's the thing that I imagine is all of those Godzilla cards actually have an MTG card name. And down the road, you might see Everquill Phoenix, but you're not going to see Ghidorah, blah, 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 whatever the Godzilla name is.
Right.
So you might see that Magic card printed again, but you're not going to see that art, that frame, that name.
100%.
So Ikoria boxes, in the long term, as long as they have that box topper in there, have to be more than the $100 regular sort of box.
Now you've got me thinking, dude, about these secret layers and shit. Like, especially the ones where they had to do special licensing deals with. We had talked about before the Walking Dead secret layer, and I know people is introducing stuff.
Those aren't Magic cards.
Yeah, these are Magic cards. But how good of an investment is that if they have to get a licensing deal to reprint them in another set?
Yeah.
You think they're going to do that for a damn reprint? Get your secret layers now. They did all of these anything. Get the Hello Kitty shit.
Clearly, with the world universes beyond, they're delving deeper into more licensing like this. But as far as reprint rights and that sort of thing, I don't think that they're going to do that. So I started looking at what's in Throne of Eldraine. Or better yet, I went to MTG Top 8. I started looking at legacy finishes, modern finishes, pioneer finishes. You are seeing Brazen Borrower and Bone Crusher Giant in every format.
Wow.
Obviously, you're seeing Fabled Passage in Pioneer, Commander, sometimes Modern.
Of course. We knew that. We've been talking about that card for months now.
Yeah. When I was talking with Chan last night, he pointed out to me, he's like, Ixalan was not a loved set. People thought vampires and dinosaurs, this is going to be cool. Oh, this is crap. There are so many cards in that set that are going up. Those boxes are $150 now.
God damn.
And if so when you're just thinking, okay, that was 2 years ago. I could have gotten a box for $100. It's now a 50% increase.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And
God, it's insane.
When I think about the last 2 years and all the sets that came out during COVID, all the sets that were probably underopened, I just can't stop myself. So like Core Set 2021, has Ugin the Spirit Dragon in it.
Ooh.
Has Terror of the Peaks in it. Has Fiery Emancipation. Has the Teferis.
God.
Like, when I look at the top 20 cards in that set, it boggles my mind. Ugin. No, don't try and correct my spelling.
Eugene.
So I just want to look at Corset 2021. Wow. Eugene has recovered well already.
Yep. I just want to let you know, the first time I ever picked up my set of Eugenes, right?
Yeah.
They were $35, and I did not feel bad about getting them at $35.
So we're looking at...
That was years ago, by the way, many years ago.
There's 4 different versions of Ugin. Elder Gargaroth is seen play everywhere. Fiery Emancipation is an EDH All-Star. Chromatic Orrery is an EDH card. Grim Tutor is in this set.
Oh my God, yeah, dude.
In multiple versions. Heroic Intervention is in this set. Fabled Passage is in this set. Azusa is in this set.
God, what?
17 more versions of Teferi.
This seems like a friggin' Masters reprint. Like, this seems like a Masters set. This is...
Stormwing Entity is now a modern staple.
So, the real question is, what is the value of a Magic 2021 box?
So, here's what this website is saying, though, is that the EV of a box is only $52.
What?
Well, part of it is because we just named 8 cards, and there's 24 different versions of them.
Wow.
So that's one thing. But I think that this has to appreciate over time.
Absolutely. There's like, so you could legit buy a box of this for like, is that?
No, that's not the price you could buy a box
for.
Sorry.
That's like the value that they're saying you'll get out of the box if you crack everything.
On average, a box cracks for about $52 right now.
Wow. So in which case, it probably suggests that you still could get them for close to MSRP.
Yeah, you can get them close to $100 easy.
Yep. Yeah. God, that's got. I think you're right, man. Like, that's got to. All it takes is, I mean, the thing with doing a estimated, this is what the box cracks for sort of thing. It's different than saying this is what one card is worth, right? It's sort of, think of like an index fund in the stock market, right?
Yep.
It's hard to be like, this index fund is this price. It could be double that next week. It could be half that next week. It's like you're kind of trading on leverage at that point, and it's the exact same thing with these cards that are unknowns.
So I agree with you in a totally opposite way. So an index fund holds shares in, say, 100 companies.
Yep.
And any one of those companies or all of those companies or half of those companies could all go down by 50%.
Right.
But the odds on that index fund, because it is divvied up over 100, going down that far is unlikely. A company may go down 50%.
Right.
So the idea of buying a box versus a card, like Ugin is going back up to $30. If they reprint Ugin again tomorrow, it's $15.
Right. So hear me out, right? Like, I see that part. That's sort of like a cushion on the bottom end of it, right? Because if they do any reprints of these cards in this set, it's probably not going to affect too much how far that goes down. However, there's almost no cap to how much it could go up if just one of those cards goes up. And it's because of that unknown.
Oh yeah, the lottery ticket vibe.
This is what I mean by trading on leverage, right? If I buy a box of Corset 2021, I don't know what's in it.
It could be a boat.
It could be an absolute boat, right? But like, what my point is, the unknown is what people are taking the gamble on,
yeah,
right?
That's what they
exactly.
want to buy.
So if one card goes down in price, one of the big names, the price of that will obviously it would go down. It would go down a bit. It obviously wouldn't go to nothing. It wouldn't go to $15 just because Ugin's in it. But if Ugin goes to like $100, right?
That box is going to go to $200.
I mean, that box, I don't think it'd go up that much, but it would because that's a powerfully expensive card in the set, that gets factored in there to those unknowns, right? And if it's one of the only ones that is, or I shouldn't say one of the only ones, but one of the top that we were just talking about, you can expect the price of that to go up on leverage. You don't have it. You have the index fund.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? You don't have it.
I don't have a Nukem, but I have a box that might be a Nukem.
Exactly. Like, you're kind of trading, like, on behalf of. I don't own it, but, like, if it goes up, I stand to have a very significant stake in you know, just that one card going up, let alone if 3 or 4 of the cards in there, not even all the top 12, but just 3 or 4 in there go through the roof. Well, now you're really trading on leverage, because people are going to see that, and this unknown, you're going to take this $50 expected value, and then, yeah, it will probably go to $200.
So the thing that you don't get from Core Set 2021, though, that you will get from an Ikoria or a Throne of Eldraine, I don't think that people, you know, write letters to their grandparents about how much fun they had with Core Set 2021, but then they're like, dude, this Godzilla card is so cool. Or, you know, the fairy set.
Yeah.
Like the one with all of these cards that are actually 2 cards in one. And they tell a story about this fantasy world.
That's some fun shit.
So I think if you can sort of split that difference and say there are a whole lot of modern playable cards and a whole lot of EDH cards in every goddamn set that's coming out right now, but in Throne of Eldraine and Ikoria specifically, and I am interested in Core Set 2021, you can capitalize on the fact that people also have an emotional connection to it, and they think maybe they're going to want to draft Ikoria in a year. That adds to the value of a box.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. I mean, we've said this now for, I mean, Christ, it's got to be coming up on 4 or 5 months. Sealed product is probably one of the better investments these days.
I feel like it's come around again.
It really has, man. Like this stuff right here, when we look at, you know, the expected value of a Core Set 2021 box being around $50, that blows my mind, dude, with how cool this set is. Like, with all of the nasty reprints. Like I said, it looks like a friggin' Masters reprint set. Like, it really is. And I think over time, when people realize that, and when Wizards realizes, okay, we don't necessarily need to reprint any of these in here, we drove the price down, that $50 expected value is eventually going to go through the roof, and it's going to happen quickly.
So here's I think a good example, and maybe we can go out on this. According to Echo MTG, the EV box expected value of a box of Innistrad, original Innistrad, is $176. Oh, I don't have I'm thinking that I have the computer up because I hit the keys. Innistrad booster box. Hey, look at, thank you. Oh, look.
Damn.
$435.
Jesus Christ.
Totally disconnected from what the EV of any average box is.
That's that leverage, dude. This is a leverage fund for Magic the Gathering.
No, the Shadows over Innistrad. I don't care about Shadows over Innistrad.
Yep, even that, $200, twice what you paid for it. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, MTG Innistrad booster box factory sealed.
Oh my
$900,
God.
$1,000, $900.
That's that leverage, man. That's exactly what we were just talking about. Like, all it takes is a few cards in there to go up that were in the top of that box, and suddenly, even though you don't have it, you bought the box and it could be in there. And the mystery alone is like trading on leverage. Like, you know, the unknown value of this has gone through the roof. So therefore the box has gone through the roof. Like, it's just absolutely great. I think that's a great point, man. Very good example there to kind of tie that off. So we could go out on that. We do have a question to answer that I presented to people about Shardless Agent, and this leads into my Snap This Up.
Yeah.
This leads into the Snap This Up for the week. So the question was, if you counter Shardless Agent in Modern like an idiot when you have the Cascade trigger on the stack and they're going into Living End, right? Where is Shardless Agent when Living End goes off and resolves? What zone is Shardless Agent in? Jason Clark says the field.
Wow, that was a quick answer. I figured we would have a longer tape delay.
He was on top of that.
He was on top of that. I believe that it is just on the stack.
You believe the Shardless Agent is on the stack?
Because the Cascade spell has to resolve first, and the full resolution of Living End is everything on the battlefield goes away and everything in the graveyard can come back.
It's so I mean basically it's that's why I said if you counter it and then Living End goes off.
Oh, if you counter it.
Yeah, counter it. That happens. Living End goes off.
It's in the graveyard.
So yes, it's in the graveyard by the time Living End goes off.
Yeah.
So by doing so, the answer to this is if you counter it and then Living End goes off,
it ends up on the field.
It's actually on the field. So you do your it literally did nothing with that counter. So I mean, it's not even. You didn't even. I'm like trying for this. I think it's so funny because part of me, when you said that, I was like, well, at least you got the. At least we got the Shardless Agent out of there. But then you think about it, and it's like, no, actually, that's on the field too. It's very good. Jason Clark nailed it. It actually does go on the battlefield, and then you literally. Gave maximum value, did absolute nothing.
You just threw that card away.
Yes, absolutely. So I will say this. One thing that popped into my head immediately.
Oh, yeah, you said you haven't snapped this up.
When you said that Shardless Agent will be in Modern, one thing that popped into my head that I said, okay, well, I might double down on this, and I might actually pick these up, was a card we talked about last week, being at, or a couple weeks ago now, being at a very low price, like a surprisingly low price, because it had no decks besides like one in Modern. And you can mark my words, it's going to get another one with a Shardless Agent reprint, and that is Tarmogoyf. Tarmogoyf will indeed get another deck in Modern with Shardless Agent being a thing. And Tarmogoyf is at probably all-time lows right now. No, it's gone up. It's since gone up a little bit. It was in the 20s a couple weeks ago. And it's now, what, $31?
No, it's still in the 20s.
Oh, no, okay.
Let's look at actual purchasing on TCG Player 4 Time Spell Remastered. Was it $20?
Yes, it is, Leaf, by the way. That's this is directly from your leak to Brad. We actually talked about that Shardless Agent and its use or lack thereof in humans. But the fact that this is going to be in Modern, here's why, right?
Yeah.
Think about the busted formats that used Shardless Agent, right? Legacy was a big thing. One of the most busted decks that used, I shouldn't say busted, but it was a very fair deck, but one of the most competitive decks that used Shardless Agent was Bug. Like, it was just Bug midrange. And here's why. It was a different style of midrange deck, right? It did Shardless Agent, and all it was doing was just trying to play cards that were super powerful and could end the game very quickly, or also could just set you back. And now with Smallpox being in the format for like, can you imagine Shardless Agent and his Smallpox? Get the fuck out of here, dude. Like, that's so stupid. You know what I mean? You got that stuff. You got they do it with him to Turok in Legacy.
Yeah.
But they also did Tarmogoyf in there. You know, but main point is, Modern now has cards with the same level of efficiency as Legacy. Like, the reason why Bug was never really a big thing is because it didn't have those powerful double set you back cards such as Shardless Agent, Force of Will. You know what I mean? It now has Force of Negation. It will have Shardless Agent, which it can pitch to Force of Negation.
Counterspell?
Counterspell.
Counterspell
is legit. Counterspell is coming.
It's in the leaks.
Oh my god. Main point. These decks will use Tarmogoyf because it is an insane target to cascade into, especially if you're running blue and you can counter things with Force of Negation. You can disrupt your opponent. That's a card I think that at an all-time low that Tarmogoyf is at right now would be
a reprint. I mean, it's just after a reprint. So my snap this up. I have the same card as a standard snap this up and a high roller snap this up, and I have some logic.
Oh man.
Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, printed in Time Spiral Remastered. Again, just printed, as low as it's ever going to be. People on Reddit are saying, oh man, the pricing on this is going to jump right up because if you look at the M15 one, the M15 one's still $30 and this one's only 15. Not realizing they're probably going to meet somewhere in the middle.
Right.
But the thing is, over time, then those two will come back up. Right. So the $15 copy will go up to 22 and the $30 copy will come down to 23, 24 because people still like originals.
Oh, yeah.
And then over time, they will both go up again. So I said, same card, two different picks. There is also a box topper of this card. It's $125.
Oof.
Okay. I'm not saying everybody go out and buy 5 of these.
Nope.
But here's the thing. Here's what I learned from my mistakes. If we go back to the start of this episode and we talked about how much more you can learn from your mistakes.
Exactly. God, full circle with this. It's almost like we never missed a week.
It's almost like we know what we're doing.
Jesus.
I talked with somebody about this recently. When they came out with those box toppers and they printed the box topper nobles. And I said, oh my God, this is the best looking noble hierarchy ever.
I got to buy all of them.
They're never going to do this again. This is so cool. Like, noble is a super huge played card. I remember telling you, like, I'm going in, I'm going to get 2 play sets, and down the road, I'm going to sell the second play set.
Leaf says, Brad's comment on the rumor of Shardless Agent was very funny. So if it's being reprinted, why would I want to pick them up? Come on now, we both know we want the promos.
So anyway, what I learned from the Noble Hierarch thing was WotC is on a really good reprint wheel right now where things that see a lot of play are getting reprinted. The things that see consistent play, but onesie twosies, EDH cards, you're not seeing a lot of those get multiple reprints in years. Like you've seen Tarmogoyf get reprinted over and over. Now you've seen Noble Hierarch get printed over and over with this whole different second box topper vibe.
Oh, yeah.
So my theory is Urborgs are now about as good as they're going to get. I don't think that we're going to see a whole lot of Time Spiral Remastered come out. And if we do, it's not going to drop all at once.
Right.
So they may trickle more out to Amazon. I don't think it's going to affect prices at this point going forward. I think it's a $25 card. If you can get them now for $15, you're going to make $10 in the next year.
100%. I like that, man.
For me, I'm going to try and move some other cards so that I can put a box topper in my commander deck because I don't think that box topper is going to get reprinted. I think that box topper will be $250 in 2 years.
Absolutely. And I think one important thing while we're kind of calling out cards, especially whereas you're kind of logically breaking them down and saying, this is very low. I recognize this is very low and it's probably going to go higher. I also called out a card that's a very common reprint. I think that what you got to do when you think about those cards is you got to have an exit plan too. If you're just buying them to spec on them, you need to have an exit plan. So like my exit plan with Tarmogoyfs, I don't need any more Tarmogoyfs, but I might just buy some because I see this coming. My exit plan is if I can get them for $25, between $25 and $30, my exit plan is over $50. If it goes over $50, I have proven my point. Like, that's enough. I don't need this thing to double, triple in price. It's a very good investment, and if I'm playing it like that, this seems like a good opportunity. And
I think that's perfectly reasonable to say on any given spec, what do I want out of this? Is it 20%? Is it 50%? Is it 100%? You know, like those Vandal Blasts that I got. There's actually more listed now than there were a few weeks ago, but the prices are holding. I really want to double up on those, and I don't think I will sell them until they double up.
Right. Having that exit plan, I think, is important. It's definitely something that, especially with these, I really like the fact that we have these reprints in mind, these selections. Just, God, we're on the same wavelength, man. But it's very important, I think, especially in this day and age, if you're speccing on singles, to have an exit plan. So many people have that fear of missing out. They're just like, oh, shit, Tarmogoyf is going up. I better get them before they go through the roof. But those are the times when Wizards tends to reprint them.
Yeah.
So, like, right now, what we're saying is these cards have been beaten into the dirt, and the formulas are in place for them to go back up. And because of that, It's not a bad idea. If you need some now, get them. They're at a pretty good price. But if you are going to speculate on them, don't go over the top. Don't blow your whole budget on it. But just say, okay, maybe I'll get an extra playset. And when they go to this, when they hit your target price, get rid of them. Commit to getting rid of them. Don't hold on and say, oh, what can they go up to? You just made 80% on a card. Sell it.
The only thing that you're going to get out of that is caught under the wheel. So... And I know I said like 10 minutes ago we were going to go out on this, but I will tell you, over the last 3 months, I've done a fair bit of trading. And a lot of times when I'm trading with folks, they don't have, and I'm trying to be kind about this, but I'm a magpie. I want the shinies. Like Leaf made the joke. I know, we both know you're going to want the promos, right? I want foil cards for my decks that I don't already have. Well, my modern deck's already foiled, so I'm looking for EDH staples and foils and lands and foils. You don't get a lot of those in trades. So somebody's like, oh, I want $65 worth of trading to do with you, and I'm looking at their stuff trying to figure out what I could do. Well, Leyline Tyrant was hitting almost $30. Everybody's got some of these old Gate Crash dragons. and I think, okay, well, I don't want a Leyline Tyrant, but it's holding some value because it sees a lot of EDH play. So I'll take that and a couple of other cards in trade, mostly thinking I'm going to put that back in my trade box, and hopefully the next time I trade with somebody, that's 25, that's a big whack at a $50 card that I want.
Yeah.
And then Watsy says, hey, here are the Strixhaven Commander Precons, and by the way, we gave you a Leyline Tyrant. So don't be greedy.
Right.
Get out before the wheel comes back around.
The point of putting this out there is to just, we do this all the time. We point out when cards are probably at their lowest, but one thing we should stress more is have an exit plan, because these are higher risk, shorter term plays. They're not as easy to call out as the reserved list cards. It's sometimes easy for me to go on and be like, this card is usable now because of this, and it's on the reserve list, pick it up. It will never go down. I can say, yeah, fuck it. Sell it for $1,000 if you want, because it's never going to go down. You know what I mean? It's like the supply is going to continually dwindle. With plays like this, you're going to have reprints. You're going to have, as the popularity grows, as the price goes up, you're going to have reprints, and you got to have an exit plan, man. So whenever something, I've learned this from the stock market, whenever something goes through the roof, like it goes up 60, 70, 80%, you cannot be emotionally attached to it. If you spec'd on it and you said this was good, you have to admit that you
made your profit.
You made your profit, and you're not going to get rich quick with it. Just let it go and take the profit and feel good about it.
Feel good about it. Be on the happy end of the happiness spectrum.
Exactly. You'll never look back. You'll never regret it. Guys, thanks so much for joining us on this week's episode of the SnapCast podcast. We appreciate you guys. Always fun dialing in each week and chatting with you.
Awesome to have you here, Leaf. Thank you for dialing in tonight of all nights.
Absolutely. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Spread the word to your friends.
Hit the little bell icon. That way when we go live, you get a notification.
Absolutely, man. Then come on and join us for these live conversations. Let us know what you think. Guys, appreciate you. Hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll catch you soon. Peace.